Urban Media Today talks sports with Ray Porter Jr., Vince Butts, and Trevin A. Jones on Urban Media Today Radio.
It's game time!
It's Urban Media Today talks sports. Got my man Ray Porter Jr., got Keith Flatt Jr., Coach William Greg Hoyd Jr., and Mr. John Brown. And I'm excited because he's coming from a sport that I think that doesn't get the respect that it should have gotten. And he's actually tread through some history. And when I say history, I know he didn't have it easy when he started. Was it two-time Mr. Universe and three-time Mr. World?
Yes, sir.
That's what I'm talking. See what I mean? So when you talk about a strong black man, both intellectually and physically and spiritually, you're talking about Mr. John Brown. Two-time Mr. Universe, three-time Mr. World. And he didn't stop there. But I'll tell you what I'm talking about in a second. Mr. Brown, welcome to the show. Can you please introduce yourself? And then we're going to continue the conversation from there.
All right. Yeah, so like you said, I'm John Brown. I was a professional bodybuilder for many years. I won the Mr. Universe competition twice, Mr. World 3 times. And I'm the father of Equanimous St. Brown, Osiris St. Brown, and Amon-Ra St. Brown, 3 football players.
Not just 3 football players. He's being humble even in his own introduction.
Yeah, very much so.
I mean,
and he ain't humble. He ain't humble. Hold on, give me
no,
that.
no, I don't. I mean, shit. They're gonna get some black coffee, but we gotta let us ease them into it. I don't want to choke nobody real quick. Scare some people.
No, we come out fiery. We play a full game. We play full quarters, and it's real talk. So, Mr.
Right,
Brown, feel
okay.
as comfortable as you want to be, and it's about
All
you
right.
today. Most definitely.
Okay.
I know back in the 70s, we had it hard. There's only a couple people of big-time names, you being one of them. And I know you didn't get the same respect that your peers got. And I know that not only did you concentrate on building yourself, but you had to fight your way into the sport, didn't you? Did you not?
I mean, everybody had to fight, and back in the day, it was tough back then for everybody. You know what I'm saying? So to compete back then, for an example, I was invited to go to the Mr. World competition. I think it was 1981 or so, and I knew if I left, I would be blackballed here in the United States. But at the same time, they were not letting too many Afro-American bodybuilders win championships. So I decided to leave. Now, the interesting thing is that when I left, I went over there, won the Mr. World, won the Mr. Universe, came back to the States. I was blackballed from competing in any or doing any seminars or guest post appearances here in the United States. But what was interesting is there was a company, a magazine called Muscle Digest. And Muscle Digest was competing against Muscle and Fitness and all the other larger publications. So they wanted to do a story on me. And I go, okay, no problem. But I want to be on the cover. And if you don't guarantee me the cover, I'm not going to do it. So the guy said, okay, we'll get back to you. He came back and told me that they declined to do it. They said they won't put me on the cover. I said, all right. I said, why not? He said, you really want to know? I said, yeah. He said, because they said you're black. And so I'm like, what the hell? What difference does that make? Most of the best athletes are black anyway. But back then, they wouldn't even put you on the cover of the magazine because they thought it would hurt sales. But make a long story short, I turned it down. They called me back. I said, okay, you got to put me on the cover. So they ended up putting me on the cover and did the story because they needed me. So, but there's all kind of stuff you go through with that, which is very interesting.
And then coming from Compton, correct?
Yes.
Compton. Growing up in Compton and growing up at the time that you were coming up and focusing and developing yourself, there was a lot going on in the world at the time. Because Compton, I'm thinking Black Panthers, I'm thinking you're just coming out of the 60s.
100 yards from my house was a Black Panther Foundation. And when we were little kids, I was 12 years old, we'd come out the house, If you walk by the Black Panther Foundation, you saw them brothers standing out there with them black leather jackets, Tams on, with guns, and you didn't salute them with a black power sign, you have some problems. So, you know, it was a different era. And when I would go to my friend's house, we were like 12 years old. His older brother would make us go in the garage and listen to Malcolm X, the Last Poets, and all kinds of stuff, just indoctrinating us into a black consciousness kind of a mentality. So yeah, it was different back then than now.
So how do you take all of that as you're figuring out what you're going to be, what you're going to do? You were athletic, and you played football before you did bodybuilding, correct?
Yeah. And I was a really good football player, but for some reason my coach didn't see it. So I figured he was. Now that I'm a man, he was an idiot. You know, he was stupid, because there's no question I was good, and I was competing. No, I was just training with weights, and at the same time playing football. So I decided to stop playing football because we were losing every game. And I asked the coach, I said, hey, man, let me ask you a question. I want to go to college, play football, go to the NFL, but I can't go to college because no scouts can come in, no school's going to see me, no one's going to give me an opportunity because we're losing. How do they differentiate? How do they split the guys? How do they make the decision to pick me or another guy? How's that decision made? He couldn't answer it. Like, holy crap. So I went to my head coach, presented the same question. He couldn't answer it. And I thought, oh man, this is a problem, because I need to know how it works. And I'm sure there's kids out there and parents trying to figure out, how does it work? If my kid is in elementary school, how do I put him on the path to get to Major League Baseball, NBA, NFL? How's it done? And they couldn't answer. And that was a problem for me. So because of that, I stopped playing football. Because I don't like, depend on 10 other guys for my faith, Right. I didn't like that.
So the interesting
thing is, I don't like team sports.
And this was at what, 15 years old? 15, 16, 14?
16, I'm asking these questions.
Wow.
But I'm a different kind of guy. I'm not the rule, I'm the exception. Because I'm different, I'm really different when it comes to processing things.
Mm-hmm. As I read and did a little research, when you compete, and I love this, is you're not competing. You're trying to destroy the competition. It's like you want to be so prepared. Why would you want to compete?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, competing is stupid.
Yeah,
it's stupid to me. I never understood guys fucking jumping up and down after they won the contest, and I go, what the hell is that? Like, why are they so excited? I never understood that. Because if I train, I'm training to win. I'm not training to just to compete. Mm-hmm. I'm training to dominate you. So when I win, I'm not happy. I'm not surprised. So I never understood guys, breaking down, crying. Like, what is that? Are they surprised they won? Well, that's the wrong mentality. You can't go into a war with that type of mindset. You got to reset your mindset. You got to get your mind right. So when I won, I remember them saying, okay, first place from United States of America, John Brown. And I said, okay, John, you got to act excited because, it's a show, but I'm not excited. I want to get out of there and go to the club, right? So so I'm like, okay, I'm clapping my hands, or I was doing extra smiling or something, but I wasn't really happy or anything. Mm-hmm. It was all a show.
So let me ask you this, Mr. Brown. The preparation, because bodybuilding is not easy. We already know that. Because there's some things that you do that people would say they're superior athletes, but you take it to the next level when you're doing the bodybuilding, because you have to focus on your rest. You have to focus on your diet. You have to focus on each muscle group as you're developing that group. Mm-hmm. And then you actually critique the muscle group that you worked on. You got to talk about that.
Yeah, so it's a very difficult sport. In addition to what you just said, I had to make I didn't negotiate my own contracts. Mm-hmm. If I wanted to get some marketing deals done, I had to set those marketing deals up. If I wanted to do shows, guest posing shows, or make money, I had to do everything. So I would like to see a boxer like Mike Tyson do everything, train himself, manage his own contracts, negotiate everything himself. To be a successful bodybuilder, you got to be well-rounded. I'm telling you right now, it's very difficult. So I just don't understand kids who are playing sports, may it be football, basketball, baseball, it doesn't matter. But if you're participating in sports, you need one person to be honest with you. So when I was competing, like you said, I had to do everything. I had to eat right. I had to train right. And not all the time I was, prepared properly to go to a competition. But I had a friend of mine named Dan Block. I would go to Dan's house and say, Dan, look at me. Tell me how I look. Am I ready? Or is there something else I need to do? And most times Dan would say, you don't look right. You don't look good. You look terrible. You're holding water, or your lower back needs more development, or your rear deltoid. I mean, minute details. So I would go to the gym, do what he said. Come back, Dan, what do I look like now? You still don't look good. But when Dan said I look good, I knew I was ready. Here's my point I'm making. See, I am that guy for my sons. Every athlete needs that guy in your life. If your shit ain't right, you need somebody to tell you the truth. But most people can't handle that black coffee. So let me explain to you what, for people who never heard me, black coffee is this for me. Not everybody can drink black coffee straight. They need a little sugar, a little cream. See, I ain't got no sugar, I ain't got no cream. I'm just giving it to you straight. So you need one person in your life to be honest with you. I saw guys the other day working out with my son, some young guys. There's one kid had great momentum, great movement, great speed, but he couldn't catch worth of crap. I said, man, your hands are terrible. Do you understand that, young man? He got mad at me. He didn't like it. But I didn't care. I said, look, somebody got to tell you the truth. If you don't know the truth, you'll end up, keep doing what you're doing, and then you don't make it, and you go, well, why did I make it? Mothers and fathers. You may have a little boy, little Johnny. You think little Johnny's the greatest, but little Johnny ain't nothing. Little Johnny ain't shit because you ain't training him right. You're not being honest with him. Somebody got to be honest with him. Little Johnny, you're too skinny. Little Johnny, you shouldn't do this. You got to be, somebody must be honest with you in your life to tell you the truth so you can prepare yourself properly. It is what it is. That's why I'm glad I was a bodybuilder.
Black coffee. So John,
Black coffee.
tell everybody I already know. I have a relationship with you, but just tell the listeners, man, like, what does it take? Give me like one day in a bodybuilder, in a Mr. Universe, Mr. World's life, like one day one day of training. Tell them what one day is, because a lot of people don't understand.
So one day is I wake up at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, or 1 o'clock. I slept until 1 and 12, okay? I would get 12 hours sleep. I was trying to get 12 hours. Why? Because I grow in my sleep. You see, when you parents wake your little kids up, you got to get up early. The early bird catches worm. That's a bunch of bullshit. The early bird is skinny. That's what happens to the early bird. Don't believe that old wise tale. You got to let your kids sleep. If you ever had any animals, like a puppy, puppies sleep all the time. Why? Because they're growing. So you want your kids to grow, let them sleep. So I slept 12 hours a day. I would get up, go to the gym. So on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I would do chest, shoulders, and arms, okay? And on chest, shoulder, and arm days, I would do 20 to 30 sets each muscle group. Tuesdays, Thursday, Saturday, I would do legs and back. Again, 20 to 30 sets each muscle group. To say it is one thing, but it's unfortunate we didn't have like video cameras back then. The intensity and the speed in which we trained was like ridiculous. Like the average guy, if he lasts 15 minutes with me, I'll shake his hand. The average gym rat, even bodybuilder, you last 15 minutes in my workout, I shake your hand. I give you props. And then you have another hour and a half to go. You'll be throwing up. You wouldn't make it. I would drive you in the ground. Why? Because I wanted to win. So I would do that for, let's say, until 12, 1 o'clock, I started training. I'll train until 2 o'clock to 1 to 3 o'clock. Then I would go home, get to my house, eat real quick, and I would eat like dog food, which is pork and beans and ground beef, because I didn't have a lot of money back then. And I would take a protein shake and lay right there on my living room floor and fall asleep in my wet clothes. Wake up an hour or 2 hours later. Because why? Again, I'm trying to get that protein in me, get those carbohydrates in me, get all the L-carnitine, everything in me, and so my body can absorb it. I would sleep and shut down. And then I would wake up 2 hours to an hour after, take a shower, then I would go eat again. Then I would just relax and do whatever I need to do. But
It's Urban Media Today Talk Sports. We're talking to Mr. John Brown, 2-time Mr. World, Mr. Universe, 3 times Mr. World. And it's going to take a quick break. Come right back after this time out.
Urban Media Today is your source for entertainment, news, sports, and lifestyle. It's your online resource for health and fitness, providing tips to decrease your heart disease or increase your good spirits. When you can't find who made the top picks in HBCU sports or what part of the country is most exciting or affordable to travel with the entire family, Urban Media Today is there to provide you with all that you need and just a click away. Log on to urbanmediatoday.com now. Find us on social media. Urban Media Today, your lifestyle information and blog website.
Urban Media Today Talk Sports. Ray Porter Jr., Keith Platt Jr., William Greg Hoyd Jr. Wait a minute, that's 3 of y'all. Come on now. Trevin A. Jones.
We roll, brother. We roll,
3
man.
juniors.
what, 3 juniors?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I'm a
All
junior
juniors.
also.
You're a junior too?
Yep.
Oh, I give up.
Oh, we dominate. That
It's
means
a
you got to
junior.
change your name, man.
It's a junior show. And today I'm excited because we got Mr. John Brown here. And Mr. Brown was telling us about what happens or what he's went through in his daily routine, weekly routine as a bodybuilder, as a champion bodybuilder. What I want to talk about more, and Keith and Ray definitely jump in. I know Coach is going to jump in. Mr. Brown, you said that you went through your regiment through the week. You know what you're going to do on weekends.
All right.
What about when it's time to compete? Like the weeks that you knew at the end of the week you were going to compete. Did it change?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, what changed was let's say a month before. Okay. The type of training I would do, I would speed up the reps, back off the weight, maybe back it down 25% and do more reps to get more definition in the muscle. And I was fortunate enough because I was there's different body types, you know, like it's an ectomorph, endomorph, and mesomorph. So endomorph is like a big kind of heavy set fat lineman. And a mesomorph is more of a, you know, you ever seen a guy that looks like a bodybuilder but he doesn't really work out? That's a mesomorph. And the endomorph is a real thin guys that got abs but they're thin. They can't gain weight. So I was an ectomorph. So it was hard for me to gain weight. But the good thing about it is when it came time to competing, my contemporaries had to go on these real strict diets, high protein, low carbohydrates. All I had to do was just eat hot dogs, and then people think I'm joking. I just ate hot dogs and drank Kool-Aid, and I just jumped on stage, and I was ready to go.
Wow.
You see, so it's different body types. You got to understand those different body types. So in football, since my sons play football, I look at guys. There's a lot of the linemen. Most linemen are endomorphs, right? And so those endos, they're heavy. They're 300 pounds, but they're not really strong, in my opinion. I've never seen one that was really strong, where he should be. And when the NFL does their combine and they do the bench press test, it's all out of whack, in my opinion. It's not done right, because if you're doing it for an endurance test, it helps to see endurance with linemen. But you can't have a lineman do 225 pounds when he weighs 300, and then he does 40 reps, and you go, he's strong. He's not strong. He has endurance. That's endurance. But when you get a receiver, DB, who weighs 120 pounds, 180 pounds, 210 pounds, he does 225. Now you see who's the strongest. So I think that linemen should start at like 380 pounds. Let's see if they can, how many times they can do that. You want to see if they're strong. But for an example, I don't know how much you weigh, but let's say you weigh 180 pounds. And I give you, that's all right, I want you to do 140, 30 pounds, as many times as you can. I don't know, you'll do it, 40, 50 times, whatever that number may be, but it's not a lot of weight. So it won't really show strength, it'll show endurance. So the bench press is showing endurance, in my opinion, for the heavy guys, strength for the skill position. my point is, if my son was an endo, was a lineman, I would train him like I train my son, like a bodybuilder. But I tell you right now, he'll become a lethal weapon because his size and his mass can really make him so strong that it'll be unbelievable. Look at what's that guy named Darnold from the Rams?
Sam
Aaron?
Donald. Aaron.
He looks like a bodybuilder when he take his
Yeah.
shirt off. He doesn't look like a fat endo. He looks like a bodybuilder. So these guys are training wrong, but they don't get it. No one listens. No one gets it. It's weird to me. They don't get it.
So John, I want to shift gears because I know you've been super successful because you've been able to be disciplined in your body, disciplined to win Mr. World, Mr. Universe. Let's talk a little bit about how that's carried over into business because you've had some successful businesses. You've done a lot of good things, in the community. So let's talk about, how that's helped you in business. I know you owned a pretty successful women's t-shirt line that was you can talk a little bit about that.
Mm-hmm. The correlation between the two is a good question. Let me think. I'm sure there's some, but how can I articulate this? First, I mean, it's just my natural thing. I never give up. I never surrender. I want to dominate you. That's the first thing. I just want to destroy you. If I'm in anything business, I'm trying to destroy you, okay? So my discipline came into play when I started my clothing line. I'm an Afro-American male from Compton. Ain't nothing real special about me. I put my pants on one leg at a time like everybody else. Ain't no Superman in this world, so don't look at me and think, oh no, he has some advantage. I work. You understand? A lot of guys are lazy. I'm not lazy. That's the only advantage I have over most folks. So when I went to the clothing business, what did I know? Zero. But you know what? When I was 12 years old, I met a guy in the park in Compton. And this is a true story. He was a wino. He was a homeless guy. And he said to me, you need to quit screwing around in this park with your friends and get your head together. And I said, okay, what are you talking about? What do you mean? He said, I'll never forget. He said, you see that gas station on the corner? That guy owns that gas station and you don't because he knows something you don't know. And if you knew what he knew, you would own the gas station. And that was profound to me. I was 12 years old when he said that. I never forgot it. So when I got out of high school, I thought, okay, I need to move to, I don't know, where, Orange County, someplace where white folks are, got all the businesses, got all the money, so I can learn what they know. Because that was true what he said. So I was seeking knowledge. So when I came to Cal State Fullerton, it was a way for me to rub shoulders with the successful white folks and to bodybuild at the same time. So I said, that's a great situation for me. And guess what? All my white friends, I made sure I met everybody. If you had a business, I wanted to meet you. And once I met you, I'd come to your office. I would hang out with you. I always wanted to hang out with these guys. Like I said, you are what you hang out, who you hang out with. So I was doing that just to learn. I would ask 100,000 questions. I'm learning. And then I said, okay, I'm gonna start a business. I started my business with $20. And that was in 1987, 86, 20 bucks. The first thing I did was I was competing around the world and I made a lot of friends. But what was interesting was all my friends from Europe, when they came to my house, they all asked the same question. John, can you take me to the store so I can buy some big socks? I go, what are big socks? And it was the socks in the 80s that the aerobic girls were wearing, Jane Fonda and them. There was these big socks they used to wear. And I go, okay. So I took them to the store, they bought them, they went home. So many were asking for that. I thought, man, why don't you get them in Germany or in Europe? You can't buy them there, they don't sell them. Oh, really? So I decided I'm gonna sell socks. So I was on the contract with a guy in Germany. He was had one of the biggest catalog business for sports apparel. I went to the guy, Robert, and said, Robert, listen, I'm gonna sell you these big socks and you're gonna buy them from me and I think you're gonna make a lot of money. Now, when I went to my gym where I was training in California, gave the guy $20. He gave me 4 socks and I was pissed off because he should have charged me $250. That's what he paid for them. He charged me retail price. And at the same time, when new patrons coming to the business, the gym, he would tell them, "Oh, John Brown trains here," using my name. You understand? And then charge me retail for the socks.
Wow.
So I didn't like that. So anyway, I took the socks, flew back to Germany, gave the socks to Robert. Said, "Dude, put these on your girls, whatever you got to do, take some pictures, whatever." Next thing I know, I come home. A month later, Robert calls me. "John, goddamn, you're right. I need those goddamn socks right now. And you better have them. Don't screw up." So I didn't know where to get the socks at. I'm like, uh-oh, okay. So I start calling my friends, business guys I know. They said, "John, I think all the hosiery mills are in North and South Carolina." I go, "Okay, good." So I said, "Okay, how do there's no internet, none of this stuff." So I would set my alarm at 3 in the morning. I would get on the phone, dial the operators in North Carolina, and I get these operators on the phone. I said, "Look, I'll explain to them my situation. I'm in trouble. I need these socks now. And if I don't get these socks, I'm gonna lose a lot of money." And I convinced all these operators to tear out the section in their local yellow pages said hosieries and fax it to me. So they faxed all this stuff to me. So every day I would get these faxes from all these operators I convinced to do this. Then I would call these companies. Long story short, I found the socks, sent it to Robert, but I didn't have $67,000. First order, I needed $67,000. I didn't have that money. So I said, "Robert, dude, I got a problem. I don't have $67,000. You got to send me $67,000. You want these socks?" Shit. So he sent me the money. So I got the socks, sent to him, and it kept going. Then I saved. I saved money like crazy. So I kept saving. Then I was on my own then. I was just killing it every month. Every month I was working one day a week, one day a month, and I was putting like $20,000 in my pocket, profit every month. And back then, and all I started with $20. So what is my point? How can I say this? I understand that not everybody can be a businessman. Not everybody's cut out to do that. But I'm telling you, man, I am not a special person. And if I can do it, man, anybody can do it. And it's not about the money. Listen to me. Hope I can explain this. It's not about the money. For an example, hope this makes sense. I'm in a t-shirt business. So I buy t-shirts, I make designs, and I get them printed on. Everybody understands that. Almost everybody in America has a printed t-shirt in their closet. So the guy who prints the t-shirts, he makes maybe, let's say, 40 cents a t-shirt. But the guy who owns the company who makes the t-shirts and sell to the end user, he can make $30 to $40 a t-shirt. The printer doesn't like that. So if you find a printer and say, "Look, I'm gonna make the designs, I got the sales force set up, but I need you to put the money and pay for the t-shirts and print them, and I'll give you 50% of the company." They'll do that all day long. And you ain't putting up no money. So my point is there's ways to do it, because see, the bank ain't gonna give me the money because I was African American. Banks ain't giving me no money. I know because I went to the bank and I asked. Now, I've been turned down all the time. So most brothers and sisters, Hispanic, whatever, you got Hispanic got a little more love than we do. But you black, you have a hard time getting money, but you don't need the money from the banks. You got to figure out a way to convince the guy, one of the guys in that chain, to create that product, to make it for you and go in business with you. It can happen. Trust me, I've done it more than once. More than once.
Wow. And the only thing that I will disagree with you with is the fact that you said you're not a special person. I disagree, because it takes a special mindset to do what you set out to do from the beginning. And I say that because
I understand.
Yeah, without question. So I'm going to take a quick break, because we're going to talk family. We're going to talk dedication. We're going to talk motivation. And we're talking to Mr. John Brown. It's Urban Media Today Talk Sports. It's halftime. We play a full game here. So we're going into the halftime. We'll come back with the third quarter right after this brief timeout.
Urban Media Today is your source for entertainment, news, sports, and lifestyle. It's your online resource for health and fitness, providing tips to decrease your heart disease or increase your good spirits. When you can't find who made the top picks in HBCU sports or what part of the country is most exciting or affordable to travel with the entire family, Urban Media Today is there to provide you with all that you need and just a click away. Log on to urbanmediatoday.com now. Find us on social media. Urban Media Today, your lifestyle information and blog website.
It's Urban Media Today Talks Sports. Mr. John Brown. And go ahead, Mr. Brown. Go ahead and take the floor. I'm not going to take up your time.
Okay, so you said that you disagreed, thought that I have a special mindset. Yes. But once I shared with you, you also can have the same. Once I share my methodology to you, it's up to you to pull the trigger and go for it. So don't be afraid to go for it. If you are afraid, just still go for it. I mean, look, I ain't never had nothing in my life. So if it didn't work, I'm in my natural state. So what do I have to lose? So I'm going to go for it. So I'm saying there's so many people out there. And what I'm about to say next, I know a lot of people ain't going to like, but I don't really give a shit, to be honest with you. It's just the black coffee, you know. So here I am. So let me explain to people about my business. So I got my business up to, like, it wasn't a lot, but compared to my friends, but I got up to $4 million a year, okay? It's not a lot because I got friends making $100 million, so what I was doing was nothing. I joined the NAACP chapter in Santa Ana because, you know, I want to help out here. I said in a couple of meetings, to make a long story short, there was some talk about several students and people who are in trouble, you know, getting mistreated with the law or whatever it is in the city of Santa Ana. And they wanted to raise money to hire attorneys to help these students out, or these people. So they started brainstorming. We can do a food drive or some type of sell meals at the church and all this crazy bullshit. I'm listening, what the hell is this? So I raised my hand and say, can I ask you a question? Does the NAACP, do they own a lending institution, a bank, or anything like that? No. First, I was shocked to hear that. Like, what the hell are they doing? And I thought, all right. I said, well, why don't you guys start a business? Because here I am with $20. I'm making $4 million. So I'm sure they got $20. So I'm thinking, why don't you just start a t-shirt line? I can show you how to do it. It's pretty simple. And raise money in that way. You have to start a business. You must listen. Black people must liberate themselves. And I think financial liberation, not for all people, but for most people, it's a business. This is what we got to teach. Not, they say, look, what is it, Negro College Fund is something they always promote. What is that? Promote a business. Look, I'm telling you, 98% of the guys I know, 98 of the rich guys I know didn't finish high school. They didn't finish college. They didn't go to college. These are white guys. So I'm saying to myself, what the hell am I doing in college? Listen to me. College teach you how to work for me. That's what they teach you. And I'm telling you, as an Afro-American person, if I were you, I would get out and start a business right freaking now. Don't waste time. Start it now. If it doesn't work, start a new one. But you got to start a business. You must free yourself financially. This is the way you liberate yourself, not with them damn books. Listen to me. If the guy who's teaching the goddamn class, the business class, what business he has? What does he own? Why is he teaching? What does he know? That's all bullshit. Don't do that. Start your own business right now, tomorrow.
That's interesting because we had the Rocket on last week, Rahib Ismail, and he was talking about we as a people, how you liberate yourself as well, even from a spiritual realm, and just to be focused and to step up and take ownership of self, have enough confidence, patience, and vision with self to go ahead and move forward. And you're basically saying the same thing. You're saying from a financial perspective, take confidence in yourself, take ownership, step up and take the chances, pick yourself back up if you fall down. Because you're and I like what you said. You're right back where you started if you fail.
Yeah, who cares? So look, I got a clothing company. So I'm at the trade show in Las Vegas. I got my booth up. And every now and then I see an Afro-American couple walking through the show, which means they own a store. So I would, go to them, how you doing? My name is John. I got a t-shirt line. Would you like to see it? What was shocking to me was 99% of them, listen to me carefully, was from another country. Africa, Jamaica, not from America. So I asked myself, why? What's going on here? And I'm going to tell you, I went to Martinique, and I went to Guadeloupe. That was the first time I was in another country on an island that the police chief, the bankers, all the people on the shops were Black. So I understood what was going on then. So what happens is this. See, if you're Chinese and you're from China, and when you open your eyes, the guy who owned the bread shop, the bank, the store, who sold the cars, they're all looking like you. So you know it's possible. Listen to me. Let me say that again. So you know it's possible. So when they came from Jamaica, they were all Black. The Jamaican guy comes to the land of milk and honey. He goes, I know I'm really going to make the money now because I know it's possible. People here, Black people here, they don't see that. So they don't know it's possible. This is the problem. They know it's possible to be a rapper. They know it's possible to play sports because they see it. What they don't see is a lot of business owners that are Black. But I'm here to tell you, it's freaking possible. I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I would freaking grind. And anything on the earth, I'll figure out. If you told me, John, you got right now, you got 2 years to make a car, I'll make a car. Are they selling a chassis? Somebody's selling chassis. I got the internet. I'll internet it. I'll Google it. Somebody's selling batteries. I will find out. There's engineers around. It's easy. Everything is easy. Listen to me. The most important thing in this conversation that people should understand and take home, start your own business tomorrow. Quit screwing around. And you don't need money. I told you how to do it. You can convince some fools to give you the money.
That is awesome. And what I want to do is I want to capture that fire because you passed down this mindset, this direction, this determination to family.
Yeah.
and we're going to spend the rest of this quarter and the rest of the next quarter talking about how you as a Black man coming up in the 60s and 70s and then finding success in the 80s was able to capture that and share it moving forward. I mean, that's incredible to me.
Okay.
And I know Keith can't wait to ask you about your sons. He's
like
dying over there to ask you about your sons.
I've been giving them black coffee since they can remember. Force feeding them.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about family a little bit, if you don't mind sharing a little bit about your family. When I was doing research, you were in Australia and Germany. Is that correct?
All over the world.
All over the world. Okay. And then you met your wife, who happens to be of German descent.
Yeah.
Descent. Okay. And now your 3 sons, they actually speak 3 different languages, have 4.0 GPAs while they were in school.
4.3.
4.3s, and excelled on the football field.
Yes.
You have to talk about that.
Okay. Well, here I am, as you know, who kind of have a feel for the type of guy I am. So y'all get me fired up on this little thing here because you start talking about this real stuff, and I can't help it because I got to tell the truth. You got to hear it the way you got to hear it real.
Yes,
so,
sir.
I have these kids. So, of course, only thing I can tell you is this. It had to be some divine intervention somewhere. And because I knew that my first son would be called Equanimous. I knew that in college. True story. In college, before I even thought about having a wife, I knew I would have another son, Osiris and Amun-Ra. I mean, these are the names I had. I knew I would change the last name. And my wife said, well, what do you mean? I said, well, Now, we didn't know the sex of the first baby. We wanted to be surprised. I said, we got to talk about the name. So he came out. It was a boy. I said, okay, that's equanimous. I said, we got to change the last name because, you know, Brown, what is Brown? It's like James Brown, Ron Brown, Antonio Brown, too many Browns. And it's a slave name. So 2 reasons. One, I had a choice to change the name, to choose whatever I want. And I said, okay, I got to change Brown to St. Brown because it looks better on the jersey. Now, to sit there and tell my wife that while she's holding this little baby who just was born, you got to think, like, what are you talking about? How do you know he's going to even be able to play sports? I don't know. I just knew. So that's divine intervention to me. I just knew. So I had these kids. They're growing up. We're playing all different sports, baseball, basketball, soccer, everything. At some point, you have to make a decision, in my opinion, on which hill you would like to live and die on. So if I knew more about basketball, I probably would have pushed them towards basketball, but I didn't know enough about it really to do it. But I knew enough about football where I can, you know, teach them how to do football. Here's what's important. Listen carefully. I'm a bodybuilder. I understand individual sport, individual effort. So if I take that and put it to any kid, I guarantee you he can be successful because it's no magic trick. It's a question of outworking the next person. Most people don't know what the work looks like. They show it to you, you go, oh, I see it, that's it. No, it don't look like that. You look at it, you go, look, it look like this. No, it has to look like this. But you don't know because the people are stupid. So I knew what the work looks like because I'm from individual sports and I crossed the finish line first. So I said, okay, boys, here's what we're going to do. Now, they were real little, you know, like what, 5, 6, and 7 years old. I'm talking like this to them, right? I never did gag, never. I'll talk to them just like this. I said, here's a program we're going to do. We got a program in our house, and this is what it looks like. And we started. And in terms of academics, you know, my wife's, I got to give her a lot of credit because she comes to me and she says, okay, the boys have to go to a French school. I said, all right, where are we going to find that? I found one. I go, where? So we went to French school and it was there. I said, okay, so we put them in there. So they all, everything was French, except 1 hour a day was English. So reading, math, everything was in French. I don't speak French. I speak German, you know, enough to get around. And my wife spoke a little French, not a lot. So we were looking for a Cantonese school, but couldn't find one. So we went to French. So next thing I know, she goes, you know, I speak a little French, but not a lot. I think I should move to Paris, rent an apartment, and put them in school in Paris, France.
Wow.
I go, okay. They got on an airplane. I gave her the money, and I was home working, sending them money, and I would fly there to see them as much as I could, and they were in school. So when they were leaving, I told my boys, I go, are you guys nervous? She goes, yeah, Papa, we're afraid. I said, you know what? I would be afraid too, but let's see what happens. Just go and find out, you know, you see what goes on. So anyway, so they did that, and that's how it happened. So my wife was really, really hard on them with academics. It's just as much as I was with sports. But keep in mind, you see, I had 2 hats, dad and coach. Once we're done with practicing, we have fun. You gotta have fun with your kids. When I look at a man and his kids are all around him, hugging him, I know he has a good relationship with those kids. If you don't see that, there's something going on there. My kids would jump on me. One would sit on my right leg, one would sit on my left leg, and the third one would cry because he was late to the party. You understand? So you got to have fun with your kids. You just can't be dogmatic or so serious. We had a lot of fun. Greg will tell you, we did a lot of good things. And now another thing, my son comes home with an A. I said, don't show me an A, son. Any fool can make an A. I need to see A+. Don't show me nothing. If it's not A+, don't show it to me. So that was our mindset in our house. Don't show dad, don't show papa an A. He don't want to see that's a bad grade. So if you think, if that's your mindset, you're gonna perform. In school, shit, Okay. I shouldn't be throwing all these nuggets out here for free shit. But anyway.
I'll tell you what, hold on to that. We're going to take a quick break, come right back. We're talking
Yeah.
family, we're talking mindset, and Mr. Brown's giving away free nuggets. He's giving away knowledge.
Yeah. I don't like that. Yeah.
It's Urban Media Today Talk Sports. And Mr. John Brown, who was an infamous bodybuilder, two-time Mr. Universe, three-time Mr. World. And he's dropping nuggets, man, dropping nuggets. But we're talking about his sons. Now, Keith, you've been biting, chomping at the bit. I know you want to ask him about his three sons because you're the one that jumped at when you saw he was coming on the show. You're like, wait a minute, he has the sons in the NFL. He has the sons that did this in college. Go ahead, Keith, ask your questions.
How you doing, Mr. Brown? I just want to know how does it feel to possibly, well, you got one son already in the NFL, but you could possibly have three sons in the NFL and they all could be good caliber wide receivers. Like, I think that's like remarkable to me. Like, it's crazy, and they're all like pretty good.
Yes.
So with the three of them, but
What's the question?
Oh, go ahead, Keith. I'm sorry.
The question was, I said, how do you feel with the possibility of your other two sons possibly making it to an NFL roster in the next couple of years? I mean, you already got one son to play for the Packers. Yeah. How does it feel though? None did the other two possibly get to the NFL?
It's a great feeling, but the bad part is, unfortunately, I can't really experience the joy and experience it the way other people can, because it's like a tornado. I'm inside the tornado going around and around with them. And it's hard to get in the eye of the tornado to look up to appreciate. This is a problem. You see, so I wish I could step out of myself and look back and really appreciate it. I still appreciate it, and I think it's amazing, but I just can't taste the way other people can taste it. That make sense?
Yes, sir.
So
good enough.
So John, take them back to let's go back to that day you came to my house. I told you to come over to Anaheim Hills, and I said, hey, I'm gonna teach you how to get your sons recruited, and let's take the listeners through that. What is that? Probably about an hour meeting that we had about the recruiting process and right. how to establish how the foundation. I feel you did a great job on the training and all that, but the recruiting and the branding foundation, I think it supernaturally just grew that day.
Yeah, but let me jump back for a second about education. I want people to realize this here. My sons they took all AP classes, okay, all their lives. But let me explain something to you guys. My sons are not, to me, real smart. They're not. They're regular kids. So, Mr. Brown, what do you mean by that? Look, I don't believe there's such thing as a stupid kid. If your son or daughter can remember their phone number, then guess what? They're smart. So maybe it takes some people longer to remember their phone numbers, but if you're patient with them, eventually they will remember it. It's just memorizations. My sons, when they went to school, I remember they had a problem with math in one class, for an example. I think he had a B or something. I go, what the hell's a B, right? And I went talk to the teacher. The teacher was stupid, so she couldn't help him. So I found Mathnasium. The Mathnasium is another outside facility that you can go to and pay for them to teach your son's math or your daughter. I went there. They gave him listen to me carefully, they gave him the answers. So when he took the test again, he got the A+ because he got the answers, almost like cheating. So your job as a parent is give your child the answers. The school ain't gonna give them all the answers. You as a parent, you got to remember, you got to know what the work looks like. Don't do this and think it's gonna be that. You got to know the volume of work for each child. But I can tell you, your child can be, as like my kids, we just put extra work in. With everything we did, we tried to dominate you. So we put extra work in. Now, back to Mr. Hoyt's question. My son was in the 8th grade, and I've been on grade for years. And he said, come to my house. I'm going to show you how to get recruited. Because I didn't know. You know, I heard you go to the best school. This coach will talk to coaches about your son and get your son a scholarship. This school is not as good because the coaches don't have connections. I'm hearing all this stuff. So when I sit down at Greg's house, he says, okay, he's on his computer, typed in my son's first and last name, hit enter. Nothing came up. He says, that's a problem. They don't exist. I go, oh, shit. He said, because coaches, what they're going to do is, as soon as you say or I say, I got a great athlete here, I think you should look at him, they're going to Google him. If nothing populates, that's daddy ball. You saying he's good, but no one else thinks it apparently. So Greg sat down and typed his son's name in. And all this stuff came up. I was like, what the hell? How did all that stuff get printed on him? What is that? Oh, well, it's about being interviewed. So when we go to camps or we go to football games, after, I don't know, 7-on-7 camps, Greg was always teaching me how to identify the writers, the beat writers. So I start knowing what they look like and who was who. And then after every event, I would make sure that I walked to that beat writer, had my sons in line. These are my sons. Can you do me a favor and interview them? Because once he interviewed them, he starts populating on the internet. So we did that. So at high school games, I would stand or sit at a certain place. My sons know where I was at. When it's over, the game, all the other players kissing their girlfriends. My sons looked at me, and I would blow a whistle. I would say, hey, I would point to the beat writers, and they would see them, and they would walk over there. They knew the program. I didn't have to say nothing. I just point. They'd walk over there, and once they stopped talking that way, I point to another guy. So they got interviewed. So how many times could we get interviewed at one event was our thing, in addition to working out, training, all that. But you have to know how this thing works, how this thing is ran these days. So because of that, their names became more popular. And then we went to different events, and we learned that when you're doing, let's say, one-on-ones, you got to take all the reps. You may get in a fight. You gotta take the reps. So so your son can't be no softy. You understand? So I took my son to LA, to Compton, when they were 5, 6, and 7 every weekend to go to Dominguez High School and work out with them kids. I go, you may get in a fight here, but you better not punk out. If you get in a fight, you better punch them in the face. So this is what we're trying to do. So my kids are they light-skinned because they have white, but they ain't El Jabbarge. I don't know if y'all know who that is. But they ain't no El Jabbarge. You see what I'm saying? These some light-skinned brothers will take off on you. So I make sure that you got to make your kids tough. They can't be soft. So, there's a lot of stuff you got to learn about scholarships. Oh, man, that is oh, my God. Greg taught me, look, a thing called fake offers. I go, what the hell is that? He goes, well, these guys will say that they will help you get a scholarship, these 7-on-7 guys, not all of them, and just some of them, and they'll go and say, okay, congratulations, you just received an offer from Tennessee, but you really didn't receive an offer from Tennessee. And you go home, tell mommy and daddy, I just got an offer from Tennessee. And let's say that's the only offer you received. And by the time you're in the 12th grade, it's time to commit. You go to commit to Tennessee, the guy says, son, we never offered you. Now, guess what? You don't go to college because this guy lied to you. You got to verify. You got to verify everything that they're saying to you. Because here's a rule in college sports that most parents don't know. And I was shocked to hear this. If USC or any school, UCLA, offers my son a scholarship, by law, the coach cannot confirm that they offered him a scholarship to the media or nobody. Let me say that again. If they offer your son a scholarship, and it's a legit one, if the beat writers from 24/7 call and say, is it true you offered St. Brown a scholarship? By the NCAA rules, they can't say yes or no. So these guys know that. So they feed on this. So it's a crazy situation out there. It's the Wild Wild West. And if your son is not if little Johnny is not a linebacker, don't play him at linebacker. Don't be stupid. You got to be smart in life. You know?
Well,
so you got to know what your son is or possibly can be.
definitely. And Ray Porter Jr., you've been silent, man. I know you got questions.
I'm like, damn, I felt bad. I was hoping my man Ray could get something in there real quick. I wanted to ask you something else. We're going to run out of time,
I always find my way in, man. I always do, man. But, Mr. Brown, kudos on a decorated career. Had a chance to read up on your resume. Had a question about, I remember years ago, and it's obviously been brought up again because of The Last Dance from ESPN. But I remember when Michael Jordan used to always say that he never believed in lifting weights until he got tired of getting beat up by the Pistons. And then when you started lifting weights, you started seeing the definition in them. And then next thing you know, you start wearing titles. What's your thoughts on when athletes say that, you know?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question.
Yes, sir.
You know, lifting weights is the foundation of all sports. Lifting weights is the foundation of all sports. Don't get it twisted and think it's not. Listen, once your body is strong and you're skillful, now you can tell your mind or your body, your mind can give your body an order that your body can manifest. If your mind says jump 10 feet or 11 feet because that's what's going to take to block this shot or to catch this ball, and you can't jump because you're not strong enough. It's very important. Think about this. A lot of people are confused about speed training and lifting weights and talking about football for a second here. I go, okay, I told my sons, I go, if speed training was so important, the NFL, when you get to the NFL, they would have sessions dedicated to speed. But they don't. But they do have a session dedicated to lifting weights. Lifting weights is the foundation. It's not everything, but it's the foundation to all sports, in my opinion, and you have to do bodybuilding training.
So go ahead and talk about eating because we got to wrap up the show. It was coming down to the last couple of minutes, but you were talking about your program. Take this time to go ahead and talk about it.
So I developed a protein because I'm from the world of bodybuilding for my sons when they were 5, 6, and 7. And it's called Cane Protein, C-A-N-E. You go online, follow me on Instagram, C-A-N-E, Cane Protein, and see what it's all about. You know, you got to know what type of body type you're dealing with. You got to know if you're endomorph, ectomorph, or mesomorph. You got to know. You cannot eat chicken, you'll look like a chicken. All these schools we're on the West Coast, where you eating kale, the tree huggers, they do all this stupid stuff. In the South, all them boys are bigger naturally because they're eating chicken, fried chicken, beef, steak, grease, Kool-Aid. They're eating everything down there. And then the kids on the West Coast are skillful, but not big. So you have to make sure you're eating the right foods. What is the right food to me? I call it dirty food, opposed to clean. What's clean? Chicken breast, fish. That's for women. You can't eat that. Or older people that want to lose weight. If you're an athlete, you got to eat everything in your household. I don't care if it's cake. I don't care if it's cookies. But the main source, it has to be red meat. And you got to take protein because you cannot eat enough red meat for your body to get big. That's why I developed the protein powder. You got to add supplements to it. You just can't. So you got to make sure your kids are eating right, sleeping right, and education. You got to shoot for the stars because the bottom is overcrowded. Why are you going to stay at the bottom? You got to shoot for the stars. This thing is real and it's easy. That's my black coffee.
No doubt. Mr. John Brown, 2-time Mr. Universe, 3-time Mr. World. Man, he dropped some nuggets. I'm hoping we ain't got to pay him there, Coach, because he's talking about getting paid for the knowledge.
You got to break me off. You got to break me off. Got me out of here. Hey, I'm sitting here. I'm freaking sweating and everything. You got me all fired up here. I get fired up when I start talking.
Urban Media Today Talk Sports. We want to thank Mr. John Brown for being part of the show today. Man, we had the Rocket dropping gems. This week we had Mr. Brown dropping gems. And this show is going to the next level. Thanks to Coach Greg Hoyd Jr., Ray Porter Jr., my man Keith Flatt Jr., Trevor A. Jones. We're going to see you
John
all
Brown
next week.
Jr.
And John Brown Jr. There's too many juniors up in here. I'll see y'all next week. Have a good weekend.
You, please.
Urban Media Today talks sports every week on Urban Media Today Radio, where you can listen in on free music and podcasts on our SoundCloud station at Urban Media Today. And for more information, log on to urbanmediatoday.com, your lifestyle, entertainment, and sports blog website.
What type of games being played? How's it going down? I get up, all right?